Hi, welcome back. I'm Katie Kempner, and we're here at Advertising Week Europe. I'm doing a bunch of live perspectives episodes. So right now I'm honored to talk to Fru Hazlitt, who is MD Commercial and Online for ITV. Welcome.
Thank you, Katie. It's fabulous to be here.
Well, you're very involved in Advertising Week, right?
Absolutely. We are totally involved. And we were delighted to be involved because it's such a celebration of advertising, and lots of people, I think, need to be brought together to go, this is a great industry to work in.
I completely agree with you. And yesterday at the opening gala, you gave a really very rip-roaring hello to, and you had a quote. What was that quote that you had, actually, now that I'm remembering?
Well, there were two, actually. One was from my boss, which is, we'll leave aside for the moment.
No, I'm thinking your other quote.
From your third American president.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson,
Yes.
yes indeed, who was very religious, which is why I used it, but who also said, stopping advertising to save money is like stopping your watch to save time. What a great quote, right?
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? God knows how I found it, but anyway, it apparently happened.
We'll believe it. Why not?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when you're not quoting Thomas Jefferson and doing Advertising Week stuff, what is it that you do really in your job?
So basically, I run all the business of making money from tons of revenue streams. Advertising is one of them, but making money directly from consumers, making money from distributing our content through pay platforms, and all sorts of online interactive revenues as well. So kind of the whole multi-platform thing, as well as the pure broadcast advertising platform.
So as a woman, I know this is where you are now. You've had a pretty amazing career. As a woman, do you think that you've been treated any differently than if you had been a man?
Look, I think anybody who tries to pretend that you're not is, talking rubbish, she says carefully, mustn't swear. Of course you are. Not at first, actually, Katie. At first, because it's very different. So when you're first in your work and you're in your early 20s and you're just out there doing what you do, and there feels like there's no difference. And then I don't know what it is, but something changes. And given that it's sort of 50-50 when you start out in work, in any business usually, something does happen. And I think what happens is lots of women sort of give up to some extent, because the truth is that the really serious truth is that it's really, really hard to do it all and to have it all. And, again, anybody who says that it isn't doesn't quite get it.
Yeah.
You do have to make sacrifices, you do have to make choices. But as long as you know that, then it's fine. But unfortunately, it's very difficult to make those choices, and therefore, you get more and more in the minority, and it does get more and more difficult, whatever you do, really.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, and that's why I wanted to do this in the first place, perspectives overall, because, I happen to have a belief that you can have it all, but you probably can't have it all at the same time, and having it all is probably not what you thought having it all was when you first started.
Yes. No, it's absolutely right. And you think that you can balance it, and I think that's another thing is, people say, how do you balance what you do? Because I have 3 small children and 2 stepchildren, and people say, how do you balance it? And I say, I don't. It's a complete nightmare, and I'm always sobbing into my whatever at the end of the day, going, I just haven't got it right. Only just an hour ago I got a text saying that the year 3 netball match has been cancelled, and I went, oh my God, I didn't even know there was a year 3 netball match, but thank goodness it's been cancelled. Right. So I'll be back top of the pile because I can say, well, it was cancelled, that's why I wasn't there.
But and that's exactly, I think, so many women who aren't necessarily nearly as successful as you are running around all the, between their home and their work and trying to figure things out and constantly feeling like stressed and like, oh, it seems that everybody else has it right and has it together. And I think the truth is we're all just trying to figure out the best we can, right?
Yes, we are, but I think the important thing is not to feel, and look, I say this as though I manage it, and I don't, but the important thing is not to feel guilty about what you're doing. And actually, I think most women spend their entire lives racked with guilt, right? And it's crazy. And you know why? Because we do it to each other. So I did a little time where I thought that I would not work full-time. And I'd worked for this company that we'd then sold, and I thought, right, this is it. It's meant to be. I am going to go home. I'm going to make my own jam. I'm going to welcome everybody at the end of the day, looking so organised and domestic and gorgeous. I'm going to go to the school, and once they've not arrested me for trying to take these children, going, who are you? And I'm like, I'm the mother, right? Everyone's I'm going to get involved, and it's all going to be wonderful, and everything's going to be great, okay? And actually, after a few months, even one of my children said, Mummy, are you going to work anymore or do anything? And actually, what I realised is, meeting all these, women and everything, what I've realised is that we all do it to each other, and we kind of almost deliberately make each other feel guilty. So there's a group of women who are just fabulous at doing all of that, and they really enjoy it, and you really love them for it, and they're totally at home, literally, with it. Then there's the group of mothers like me who are very much in the minority, who work full-time and, fly in and out and are completely hopeless and have no idea what's going on at any point, okay? And then there is a very large group of women who used to work and have stopped, but actually are ploughing everything into ridiculous things, like the schools, for example, and actually you can tell should be doing something else, but they can't because they've been told that it's bad to work at all, and I think that's hideous. I'm not saying one thing is right or wrong. I'm just saying that you should be happy with what you've chosen, and if you're happy, your children will be happy, and then we will all be happy, right? And I think that's a fundamental truth that we sort of lose sometimes in the whole melee.
I'm nodding because I agree with everything you just said, and you're right on all counts.
Marvelous.
You're right on all counts. So
people don't often say that to me, Katie, so it's very exciting to
I'm
hear
in the same category of you as you, of like the hopeless mom flying and running around all the time, like what? So last question, just to sum everything up. Advertising week, tons of young women who are starting out in their careers, walking around, coming to listen to these seminars. If you had one piece of advice to give them, what would you say?
I'd say, if you become gripped by something, which is, a working environment or just anything that you're actually doing, it doesn't mean that you can't also be gripped by your children and all of those things. So keep going, try to avoid feeling guilty, and know that every time it goes wrong and you still keep going, you are pioneering the way for all the women behind you. So, just keep going, be happy, and everybody else in your life will be happy around you.
That's terrific advice. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining me.
Absolute pleasure, Katie.
And thank you for joining me. Come back. We have more a little bit later. Thanks a lot.